having to pay a dime and you're going to go ahead and pay it, then just be strategic and smart about it, right? So if that's the case, that's one scenario when it comes to collections. That's what you want to do. Hold those other ones off and then get rid of as many as you can, right? Always, though, I said in my example, and like you're not going to negotiate, but always, almost always, you need to negotiate for a little bit lower, all right? Negotiate for a little bit lower, whether it's 10%, 25%, 30, 40, 50%, negotiate a little bit when it comes to that. Again, on collections, you say, I've got 5, 6 collections, and this one's been on here a long time. I want to get rid of that one because it's so old. I want to get rid of that one. No, that's not necessarily one you want to get rid of. If it's so old, let's say it's 6 years old, the collection is going to fall off your credit report in 7 years. Technically, it's 7 years and 180 days, so that's 7.5 years. However, if it's been on there 6 years and you're not doing something right now regarding your credit for something bigger than a vehicle, probably your home, or you started a business and you need to do something and part of your personal credit is going to help you with your business, then you need to go ahead and not necessarily take care of that one because it's older. Maybe take care of some of the younger ones, the ones that haven't been on your credit report so long. You take care of those. You get to take care of those with removal, so you're paying them, and they're going to be removed from your credit report. That's going to help you more with your credit than getting rid of an old one. The old ones are not hurting your credit score as much as they used to when they were newer, which means the newer ones are actually hurting your credit score more. So get rid of the newer ones if you can, right? Get rid of the new ones when it comes to collections. Again, let's go to something else in regards to collections. We talked now about, cost of them, right? How much they cost, how many you can get off. We talked about old versus new, young versus old, however you want to put it. We talked about that, right? So now you want to do what? Let's talk about the different kinds of collections that you have. So let's say you have a medical collection. It could be from a doctor. It can be from a hospital. It could be from a clinic, urgent care, whatever it is. You've got a medical collection or several medical collections. And you have, let's say, a collection from a utility company or a cable company or a cell phone company. Which one of those do you try to get rid of first? You got to be strategic, right? You don't want to just throw spaghetti against the wall. So you want to look at how old all of these collections are. How old are they, right? You want to look at that. We just talked about it. You want to look at how much are these collections. You want to look at who's willing to actually remove it from your credit report, right? You want to evaluate that as well when you're talking about who I'm going to pay off, who am I going to call, right? You want to do all those things. However, when it comes to collections and you've got medical collections and you've got quote-unquote regular collections, whatever that could be, something from an apartment complex, utilities, cable, cell, whatever it is, right? But you got medical, you want to get rid of your medical debt. Why medical debt? I'm going to say about, I don't remember the date, 2-3 years ago, the credit bureaus and stuff got together and it's like, hey, people with medical debt, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not good with their credit, that they're not responsible. They had a medical emergency, right? Typically, it's an emergency when it comes to, your medical health. Your health is typically an emergency or, a planned surgery or whatever it is. That doesn't mean that they're not good and responsible with their credit. So instead of hurting them forever for having a collection on their credit report, now, once you pay that medical debt, whether they decide to take it off of your credit report or not, once you pay it down to zero, it's no longer going to hurt your credit score anymore, right? If it comes to a utility bill and you pay that utility bill and it doesn't get removed from your credit report, even though it says zero, yes, it's better for you overall if a human being is looking at your credit and they say, oh, okay, they paid that particular collection. That's great, but it doesn't help your credit score as much, if at all, as the medical collection does when you pay it off. So if you have to decide between paying Dr. Smith versus paying Sprint, then you want to pay Dr. Smith. All right? You want to pay Dr. Smith because it's a medical collection. When it goes to zero on your credit report, then it's no longer counted against you. So whatever it was counting against you for, whether they dinged you for 30 points, 40 points, 50 points, 60 points, you're going to get some of those points back. I can't say that you're going to absolutely get 30 points back because that one hurt you 30 points or 60 points because it hurt you 60 points, but you're going to get more points back in that regard. If you were to go ahead and play that, that Sprint collection, you're not going to get all of those points back. Now, the newer versions of FICO will give you credit for paying your collections, even if it's a utility bill or cable bill or whatnot. However, it's best and better in this scenario when you're trying to get as many and gain as many points as you need, as you can get. It's better and best to go ahead and do medical first. All right? So make sure that that's where your head's at when it comes to this strategy. Always, when you're talking about your collections, shoot for removal. Have them bad boys taken off. It's always going to be best to have them removed from your credit report. Even as part of your strategy, when you're talking to some company and they're saying they can't or they won't remove this particular collection, then maybe part of your strategy is for you to tell that person you're talking to on the phone, well, you know what? If you're not going to remove it for me, you're not helping me out. Like, I'm quote unquote helping you out because I'm about to pay this bill. I'm about to give you this money, but you're not doing what I need you to do. I owe other people. Let me call somebody else. Then just hang up. Or wait till they have something to say. If they say, okay, well, then, all right, well, we might have to sue you or whatever. Tell them to knock themselves out. Send you a letter. Don't call me. Send me a letter then. And then you politely get off the phone with them. Maybe they'll go check with the supervisor. Or you say before you get off, you sure you don't want to go check with the supervisor? Because I got money to pay this particular bill, at least a portion of it. And if you don't want to deal with me, I owe other people. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call these other people then. So you can choose to take this money, or you can get your money whenever I decide or wherever I get some more money. Right? You can do that. You can tell them, hey, I put all my collections in a hat and I pulled it out and you're the lucky winner. So I'm going to pay you. But if you can't help me out, then I'm going to move on to the next person that I pulled out of that hat. All right? So that's when it comes to collections on how you're going to do that. Now, people want to know, hey, I need to increase my credit score. I've heard you talk about credit cards, and I just don't have a credit card. So what kind of credit card should I get? Should I get a, if I'm eligible to get a regular, quote unquote regular, or a traditional credit card, or should I get a secure card? What should I do? So in this whole credit card piece, there's several things that people have questions about. When it comes to credit cards and you're trying to increase your credit score and you want to do it right away, you want to do it the fastest, the quickest way you can do it. When it comes to credit cards, and especially if you don't have one at all, and you absolutely need one, you're missing out on 30% at least of what your score could be, 30% better of what your score could be if you do not have a credit card. All right? It's just that plain and simple. It's actually more, but it's that plain and simple. So if you don't have one at all and you're starting out, the best thing you can do is become an authorized user. It's a credit card. It should be old. So it's going to help you with your length of history. Should be 5 years old, should be 6 years old, should be 7 years old, should be 10 years old. It has a good, actually not a good, a great payment history. No lates, all right? No lates on it. So that's going to help you with your payment history as well. And it should have a pretty good credit utilization. I don't really particularly care what the limit is. Yes, the limit helps you as well when it comes to your utilization. But if it has a $500 limit, and they owe $25, it's helping you with your credit utilization, right? So it doesn't matter. If it's a $500 limit and they owe $450, that's not helping you so much when it comes to that portion. But to have an authorized user would be best when it comes to that, all right? The credit card. So should I get my own card? Blah, blah, blah. If you're trying to get the most points right now, get you an authorized user. Become an authorized user somewhere, somehow. That's going to help you tremendously when it comes to points. Might be the biggest thing or the best thing that you can do of anything I'm telling you about today to get the most points right away. If you fit in that particular scenario, become an authorized user, right? Now, question, we talked about the amounts, right? If it's a $500 limit or whatever. Should I get a card and, say they only give me $500 as a credit limit, or, I could do that as a security card, or should I go after this card that says I can get $10,000 when it comes to my limit? So when it comes to this, if you don't have a card at all, get a card, whatever card that will approve you, first of all. Yep, you're going to have a high interest rate. That's the cost of doing business because you haven't had one or whatever, right? Maybe your credit score is low, a portion of that because you don't have a card. It's going to have a high interest rate. If you're not getting it to utilize, because we don't put you in any additional debt, you're not getting it to utilize it, to use it. You're getting it to help you with your credit score. Get the card that will approve you. Later on, when you get your credit score up, then you can start dibbling and dabbling with the reward points and who's going to give me the most points, and shoot for getting $100,000 worth of credit card limits or whatever it is you want to do. After you establish yourself and you've come with good habits and you know what you're doing. Until then, get the card that'll approve you, okay? So, if you can get the $10,000 card, by all means, get the $10,000 card. Because at the end of the day, because if you're like most people, life happens, right? You might have to use this bad boy. You might have to use this credit card every once in a while. If you're like most people, you're going to get it. You're going to use it. You're going to decide, hey, I need to pay this off. So then you're going to start to pay it off. Something else happens. Boom, you're going to use it again. You're going to pay it off again. It's a yo-yo. It happens in life, right? Doesn't make you good. Doesn't make you bad. It happens, right? So you're going to do that. So if you can get the $10,000 card, great, because it's going to help you with your credit utilization. If you can't get the $10,000 card, don't just throw your hands up and say, nah, well, it's just not really worth it. Get the card that'll give you, and then manage it correctly. In your mind, you want to be at 30% or less when it comes to that credit utilization. So you get the $10,000 card. In your head, you're like, oh yeah, this is a $3,000 card. Because that's 30% of the 10. This is my $3,000 card. Not my $10,000 card. This is my $3,000 card. That's how you want to do it, right? If it's a $500 card, it's like, oh, this is my $150 card. Not my $500 card, my $150 card. Because that's 30% of your credit score. Of your credit limit, right? So that's what you want to do. So get the credit card that will go ahead and approve you. All right, so we're almost at the end of the show. We talked about a whole bunch of things today. We talked about what you should do first. What about dealing with those inquiries, right? We talked a lot about the collections. What are you doing when it comes to collections? Which one do you want to pay off first? How much, if it's medical debt versus a traditional or let's call it a traditional kind of debt on collections. We talked about that today. Talked about the authorized user versus a regular credit card. Getting a credit card, period, and having it on your credit report. And then, of course, we talked about those paying the collections and whatnot. So when you go ahead and